VanNoisSeur Podcast. Of course, here we are celebrating, exploring Class B RVs, overlanding, and van life culture. That's right. And as I said earlier here, my guest today is Gardiner Snyder of Camping Coastie. What's up? And there's Spike.
Happen.
Yeah.
I'm expecting a FedEx. So.
Oh, FedEx dude, that FedEx dude is in for trouble. So if you've been looking at my channel, you would have seen Gardiner, Camping Coastie. You would have seen Deb and Spike on there already. We've been friends with them since we got into this van life. We, of course, own a Coachmen. Shout out to Coachmen. Class B RV. It is a Beyond, and you guys are also an owner of a Beyond as well as other things for camping fun.
Yeah, we have a Coachmen Beyond. It's a 2020 model on a 2019 chassis with the Li3 batteries, and it's great. It's for traveling. I don't think you can't beat a Class B, and the Coachmen is great.
Absolutely. So from Jay Diamond. Jay Diamond says, "Hello, gentlemen."
Sorry about Spike.
That's cool. Spike. He was just now. He was all quiet, and Gardner already knew this was going to happen. And then the minute that guy showed up, he just went into a full attack mode.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Perfect
beautiful
timing.
thing. Beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So Jay Diamond says, "Hello, gentlemen. Love and Learn, the Love and Learn Tour says, what's the topic today?" So we could talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Of course, I think, Camping Coastie has a lot of experience traveling here. I'm going to give him a chance, first of all, to just tell you guys who he is. He does have a YouTube channel. I would encourage everyone to go look at his YouTube channel. I look at it all the time. They've got good stuff that goes up on there. You can also follow them on social media. So Gardner, just tell the folks who you are, how you came into doing this whole Class B RV thing.
Yeah, we basically started traveling. Well, we used to cruise a lot. We got out of cruising. We thought we'd travel and see America. And we did it by car, our first big road trip, and it was horrible having to find a hotel every night that we could take Spike to and all that. So we bought a tow-behind camper, and we had that just for a little while, and then we realized that a motorhome would have been a better choice. So we bought a Road Trek, a 2016 Adventure on a Mercedes chassis. We had that for about 2 years, and we thought the urge to get a little bit bigger, so I bought a Pleasureway Class C, like a little wide body. Had that for about 2 years, and just weren't really happy with it. And we ended up buying the Coachmen Beyond, and it's just been great. We've got about 52,000 miles on it now, and it's taken us to every state in the country except for about 7 states. We really like it. But we also have a toy hauler that we pull when we go camping, because I consider camping and traveling two different things. So when we go camping, we take our toy hauler trailer to like Key West, and I'll stay at the Navy base there, or Texas, stay at the Army base there, and then we can travel around in our pickup truck. But when we travel the country, you can't beat a Class B. We can pull into any parking lot and just find a parking spot, Cracker Barrels, and that's what I was going to talk about, is finding places to park, because in a Class B it's pretty easy and it's pretty cheap too. So, but that's about it.
I think that is a good subject, right? Like, exactly when you're traveling out there, and of course for all the folks who get into Class B RVs, get into van life, the whole point of it is that you're traveling with your hotel room. But at the same time, unlike a Class C, a Class A, you have this smaller package that can kind of fit in anywhere. So the allure of it is you don't always have to stay in a campground, right?
Right. Because you can go, you can almost go to like a drive-through at some places, at restaurants. You have to watch your overhead, but you can go places that you could never dream of taking a Class C or a Class A or a tow-behind trailer. And basically, it's just if a full-size pickup truck will fit in it, you can park your typical Class B there.
Yeah,
especially
absolutely.
the Beyond.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as the Love and Learn tour said, "What's the topic today?" Whatever you guys want to talk about. Right now, we're going to talk about finding places to park, places to stay. Shout out to Daniel S. that's out there, as well as Ricky Bro, Dan Archer. They all say hi to us. Okay, so what do you think for someone who's new to this, or even someone who's been doing it? How would you recommend to go about finding these places? Should you plan it out in advance? Do you plan on the go? How does it work for you?
Yeah, we're kind of unusual in the way we travel. Is that we'll pick one destination that we're going to go to, like say the Grand Canyon or some particular place that we're going to visit, and I'll make a reservation for there. And so we'll say, okay, we've got 3 weeks to get there, and then we basically just go on a day-to-day path of finding places to spend the night, and then we'll say, okay, we've got like 4 more days to get there, so I might have to speed it up a little bit. But typically finding reservations for one place and then just filling in on the way back there and the way back home works really good for us, because we can find a place pretty much anywhere to park. Yeah. And so that's how we do it. And I use RV Parky. It's an app on my phone. Mm-hmm. And that's a great way to finding campgrounds or free parking spots. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I use a military app too, because I use military bases. But for the most, RV Parky's been really great for us. Mm-hmm. You know.
Yeah, I think so. That is a good place right there. So apps, you said RV mm-hmm. Parky. There's iExit that Lola and I like to use a lot. Rest Stops, Harvest Host. What was the one you were saying?
Yeah, Campendium.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are all good apps for people to look up. Harvest Host does have a fee, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I found that you typically have to call ahead, or sometimes you can email. What's your experience with Harvest Host?
I've had we don't use Harvest Host a lot. We probably use it maybe 6% of our travels, mm-hmm. but typically we'll find it on their website, and sometimes they have 1 day notice, like you can request that same day or 2 days. But typically we've had pretty good luck getting places with Harvest Host. The thing is that they want you to spend some money with the place you're staying at. Mm-hmm. If you were to stay at a campground, you're going to spend, oh my gosh, even a cheap campground these days is going to cost you probably at least $20. I mean, not a federal campground, but just a private mm-hmm. campground. You're going to spend $20, $40, $50, $60 a night. So if you spend $20 at a Harvest Host, you've got a place to park, but you also end up maybe getting a meal or a bottle of wine or some cheese or whatever they sell at the Harvest mm-hmm. Host. So it's kind of, I think it's a better deal than a campground. The only problem is the facilities. They might not have electrical hookups, or they might have a dump station or water. But traveling in the Class B, you really don't need to dump or get water all the time, because you travel with your own water and tanks. Having electricity, that could be a little different, but it's never been a problem for us with our lithium batteries.
Yeah. So shout out to Ricky Labit that's in there, and Ricky Bro said Loverlander. Is that an app? I'm not familiar with that one. If that is if that is an app. So there with the whole thing, I think with Harvest Host is that typically the facilities that you're going to, like you said, they're going to be very different, right? And mm-hmm. You don't necessarily need to use facilities. I have come across a few of them that do have that. Like they'll say, oh, if you want to dump, you could dump here, or if you want to get water or something like that. But typically, it's places you could go to. You could have something to eat. You can maybe get entertainment. There's a place in Arizona, which I cannot remember right now, but it's in a 50s style diner, and then right next door to it is a theater. And and that place is really nice. I've been there. You can get good food there. If you plan ahead, you can actually see a show, and they have places to dump and all that kind of stuff, but everyone's not like that. So It
Yeah.
really depends. Really depends. I've not stayed that much in a campground. I typically find that Lola and I will stay in a campground if, for example, we can't really go that far. Maybe we're testing out a van and we don't want to put a lot of miles on it, so we'll find a campground and just go there and stay there and have the whole experience. But I'm with you guys. If I'm getting out in my van, I might have a place that I need to get to. But I love the adventure of figuring out. Oh, we decided to go down this road. Where do we go now? So, other than Harvest Host, are there some places that you go to when like last minute stuff? What's the options, do you think, for last minute if you really didn't plan? What places can you usually sneak into and get to park overnight?
Speaking of sneaking into, years ago, this is a story that not many people know about, but soon a lot of people will know about this story. But it's pretty funny because when Magnolia Table Restaurant opened up in Waco, Texas, we were wanting to go there just because it was new and all that. The Chip and Joanne games. So we scouted out the restaurant. We got there about 10 o'clock at night, and I was just looking where I could park in the morning. I thought, well, there's nobody here. We'll just park in their parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
So we pulled into the parking lot, and about 6 o'clock in the morning, I heard some noise out there, and I saw there was a guard out there. So I got dressed. I went outside, and I said, hey, how you doing? He goes, oh, pretty good. I said, yeah, we got here a little bit early for the breakfast in the morning. He goes, yeah, you must have got here early because you were here when I got here. He said, I got here about 6 o'clock. I said, yeah, we got here a little bit before that.
Mm-hmm.
So we spent the night.
Yeah.
It was
That's
pretty
the
funny.
That's
But,
the beautiful thing, man. With a Class B RV, if if there's some event that you want to be first in line for, you could
Yeah.
you can always show up overnight. I try to do that with there's I'm into watches, and the Swatch group put out these really cool watches, and you have to go to an actual store in order to get them. And I try to convince Lola that we should go to this store overnight and camp out there, and she said no way. So we go there at the regular business hours, and we stand on the line for hours, and the only people, and then they sold out by the time we got up there, and the people who actually were able to get these watches were there at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And I was so mad. I was like, I could have
You could have been there.
yeah, I could have been here. I have all the facilities
Man, yeah.
to be there.
And
So,
that's the beauty of it. I mean, you can get there like that. We go to art shows a lot.
mhm.
And so if you get there early, you can get a good parking spot.
Mhm.
And we usually will call, like, there's a place up in it's in Kentucky. I'm trying to think of the name of the place. Sandy Hook, Kentucky. And they
Okay.
have a big art show up there. And you can see, like, behind me, there's a lot of Deb likes to collect folk art and stuff like that. So we'll go up there to this place, and we call them up and say, can we spend the night in your parking lot the night before the show? And most of the time they say yes. So my thoughts are is always be polite, always ask for permission, and always thank them. We go to Cracker Barrels a lot. I mean, that's a typical thing, Cracker Barrels.
Mhm.
And I always make it a point to talk to the manager and just tell him, thank you for letting us spend the night. So he knows that we spent the night, but we also, ate there.
Yes.
And so that's a big important thing. So, yeah, I'm getting a delivery right now. Yay. So I'm getting a new Echo Flow, so we'll be excited
Oh,
about
sweet. Okay, yeah, we can talk about that for sure. And that's what I was getting to with the question. There are places, I think, we talked about Harvest Host, but
that.
Cracker
Can you
Barrel's
hold
a
just
good
one
place.
second?
Absolutely.
1 second. Okay?
Yeah, so Cracker Barrel's always a good place. You should check, though. I think there's probably some Cracker Barrels out there that don't want you to stay there, but most of them do. But you can always check online or even call them up and find out if they do. Same thing with Walmart's. Camping Coastie and myself, we have a video where we talked about Walmart and the etiquette of staying in a Walmart overnight. And not every Walmart allows you to do that. When he gets back, we'll actually get into that. Meanwhile, let me shout out people while we're doing it. Shout out to Diane Jimenez out there, who's been a fan of what we do for a long time. We've actually met her and her husband out there in the real world, and also Lola is out there as well. So, and I see Dan Archer has a question which we'll get to here in a second. So, everything good with your EcoFlow?
Yeah, it's delivered. I had to sign for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No,
But
that's
yes,
cool.
we got that.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about Walmart and let's see. So have you stayed at Walmart's a lot? Do you do that?
Yeah, we typically stay at Walmart's west of the Mississippi.
Okay.
They're usually pretty RV friendly. We've stayed at a lot of Walmarts east of the Mississippi, but we prefer Cracker Barrel east of the Mississippi, and then Walmart's west. So,
Okay, what's the reason for that?
yeah, well, kind of the main reason Cracker Barrel is it's usually very quiet at night because there's no customers there. So after 10 o'clock at night, usually the Cracker Barrel parking lot is just peaceful. Plus, they have a good food, and I like to eat. So
Yeah.
and then out west, the WalMarts out west, they're usually a lot of them are very RV friendly, but you still need to call them up and check because there could be like local ordinances that you can't spend the night in a parking lot or different places. But typically, the WalMarts out west, there's a lot of people that stay at them. So when you stay there, like, you might find 10 or 20 different RVs in the parking lot that night, which the more RVs, kind of the safer you kind of feel, like safety in numbers. So, if you're just a single RV out there by yourself, there's one RV, but if there's 20 of them, it's just more comfortable for us.
Yeah, and if we run out of time, we may carry this over into the next part. But what I did want to show people was this article that Lola actually sent an article. Let me see if I can actually switch to it here. Switch to my phone. Boom, there you go. Walmart has a new trick to stop RVers from overnighting. So not every Walmart actually, let me see if we can go this way, and this will be better for you, easier for you guys. For decades, Walmart has allowed overnight RV parking. The company has been a staple among RVers because of this privilege. Weary travelers could easily pull off the interstate, park in the back of the lot, and catch a few hours of sleep before starting out the following day. But recently, Walmart has started cracking down on overnight parking, eliminating it in some locations. In West Memphis, Arkansas, one Walmart even installed clearance bars at entrances. Is this the end of free Walmart overnight parking? What do you think? What do you think about that, Gardner?
Sadly, there's a lot of people that abuse. When you have something like a Walmart lets you spend the night there, and if you go in and you do some shopping with them and you buy some product, it's good for Walmart. But sadly, some people, they're disrespectful to the property, and they'll leave trash and I've seen some really bad things people have done in the parking lots, like dumping a black tank in a parking lot's a horrible thing. And I've seen that one time.
Oh, wow.
But, so stuff like that, it ruins it for just us normal people that like to just park overnight there. Yeah. Some people, they set up home in a parking lot. I mean, like we'll go out to, we've been like in Mesa Verde, and there's a Walmart there that we'll spend the night at, and we spend the night, we drive around, we go off different places, and 5 days later we come back to passing through that area, and we'll stop at the Walmart again, and there'll be people that have been there, for a week or 2 weeks or longer. You can tell because they set up camp there. They got chairs out and they're living there. Yeah. So that's what hurts us.
Yeah, that's the dangerous thing, and I read articles that there's been fights at some of these Walmarts, and there've even been people hurt. So then it becomes a liability for the overall company itself, and if that continues, I'm sure Walmart will just have a complete policy in all the Walmarts. They don't want people there, so really want to be careful about it. Did you want to say something? We got like 30 seconds before this goes to the break.
Oh yeah, there's just some really cool places that we spent the night. Check out RV parking for city campgrounds. A lot of city campgrounds have little city campgrounds, and we can talk about that some more if you like later. But that's Pioche, and Pioche, Nevada was a really cool city campground we spent the night at. And it was by donation. So if you want to leave them $5 or $10 or whatever, but it was a pretty neat little campground.
We'll be right back here. We're taking a quick break. So as you guys might have already heard, Lola and myself are brand ambassadors for Sunshine State RV. And as VanNoisSeurs, I want to take this moment to encourage anyone who is in the market for a Class B van to start their journey with SSRV.
Sunshine State RVs specializes in selling Class B vans and B plus RVs. That is the reason why they are the #1 dealer in all of the state of Florida.
Number 3 in the whole United States.
SSRV will fly you right to their location in Gainesville, Florida. They'll give you a very detailed and thorough walkthrough of your van, and they'll give you a 2-night stay at a local campground so you can get used to your van. If you don't like that, you can actually have hands-free delivery anywhere in the United States of your RV.
We bought our Coachmen Beyond from Sunshine State RV 2 years ago. And over the past 2 years, we've seen how they treat customers when it comes to warranty side. Their service team is great. Whether you bought it from them or not, every person that comes in there gets the same service and care when it comes to warranty repairs. The same service, attention, and care. And their team does a great job getting you back on the road safely.
So if you guys are in the market for a B or B plus van, consider Sunshine State RV. We've got a link in the description that you guys can use to see their current inventory and have someone get in touch with you. All right, we are back here. And let me get to this question from Dan Archer that he asked a little bit earlier. He says, okay, here's a silly question. Do you find it easy to get places to work on your rig for like brake work and oil changes? What about working on the engine? What do you think about that, Gardner?
Well, we just got home from a 4,600-mile trip. We drove up to North Dakota, and I did notice my brakes were starting to get a little noisy. And all the time I thought that my service department had been checking my brake pads, but I guess they hadn't. So I heard a little bit of a dragging sound on my right rear, and it was kind of out in the middle of nowhere where we were. There was not a lot of dealers, and it was kind of hard to find a place that could actually work on it. I mean, there wasn't even brake shops where we were at. I mean, just like there was just a few Ford dealers, and we made an appointment 2 days later, 600 miles away.
Wow.
in Omaha, Nebraska, from South Dakota. And as we were driving down the road, I said to my wife, I said, hey, look, there's a Ford dealer right there. 3:30 in the afternoon. And we pulled into a Ford dealer in Redfield, Redfield, Nebraska, Redfield, whatever. And at 3:30 in the afternoon, I said, hey, my brakes are making noise. Can you look at it? And the guy says, you're on the road. He said, you don't need bad brakes. So he says, sure, we'll look at it. And in an hour and a half, they replaced my rear brake pads, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So typically, we haven't had any trouble finding places for oil changes and stuff like that on the road because it's a Ford Transit, and it's basically just a Ford. I mean, when we had our Sprinter, that was more difficult because to get a Sprinter worked on, it had to be a Sprinter certified repair shop, and that's a lot more unusual than the Ford. So typically when we're driving, we really haven't had any problems. First of all, we haven't had any problems with the Transit, except for needing a brake job, and that's just maintenance. But it's been pretty easy, really. I've had oil changes in probably 5 or 6 different states now.
Yeah.
Where we be on the road and say, it's time for an oil change.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've had an oil change. I think the last not weird place, but on the road place, I was in California. I had an oil change, just because the thing came up. I think in terms of this question that let me go back here. That was from Dan Archer. I think in terms of this question, there are emergencies that come up, and I know, for example, Lola and I have a video where something was wrong with the car, and we weren't sure if it was a tire or not, just because like the steering wheel was shaking. Turned out it was a tire, right? And that tire wound up actually blowing up. And I stopped at a gas station and looked at it, but I couldn't figure it out. In hindsight, the best way for me to have dealt with that, I think, is what Gardner is saying, right? If you can identify that it's a tire, go to a tire shop, right? We stopped at a Ford dealership, and they didn't know what it was either. It was a real busy place. They didn't take a look at it. I have found that as I've been traveling, it has been relatively easy to make appointments with the dealerships. If you call up in advance and things like that, you can look on your phone and figure out the next one coming up, or say, hey, maybe tomorrow I'll stop at this place and go into this dealership. But not always. In that situation, we should have probably gone to a tire specialty place and just had them look at the tires, and they would have been able to figure that out, or call AAA or something. I can you actually pull into a gas station and start working on something? I don't know. I don't think you can actually do that. There might be some places, but how does that work?
Yeah,
Bobby?
in the old days of like a service station, there's a service station, there's a gas station. In the old days, there used to be service stations. You'd see like they have two big garage doors, and those guys, they usually were good at replacing tires and windshield wipers and oil changes and stuff like that. Those places are kind of disappearing. There's more gas stations and convenience stores. But if you do find a gas station, if it's a service station, a real service station, they can help you out with some problems, and you'll find those more out west, out in the country. It seems like, where smaller towns where they have service stations.
Yeah, or if you find a really big gas station that's, let's say they're dealing with a bunch of like tractor trailers or something like that. You might be able to do that. You really so first of all, I would say be as careful as possible. Make sure you're not getting hurt wherever you're stopping to work on something, and then think about whether or not you can do it in that place. If you're really in trouble, you might want to put whatever you're up to on hold until you can figure out how to get to a professional to do it. Sometimes you have to play it by ear. I know a lot of guys that fix their own stuff. So if you're going to fix your own things, you want to be on solid ground. You don't really want to be on dirt.
No. And also changing a tire. I mean, it sounds simple. I mean, I've changed tires like, I don't know how many times on cars and trucks. But on an RV, it's different because you're lifting something that's, 8,000-10,000 pounds. And you really need to have a proper jack and proper, like Hank was saying, proper footing, solid surface. And to me, changing a tire on an RV, and I also did law enforcement. I mean, people that know me, I was in law enforcement. And first of all, on the side of the road, cars whizzing by you at 60, 70, 80 miles an hour. You don't want to be out there laying on your back trying to put a jack under something. So if you have a flat, if you have road service, let them take care of it. I've always told people, like, if you have a flat and you're on the road and you can see, like, on the interstate, and there's a half a mile ahead as a pull off, drive on it. I would rather destroy a rim than try to change a tire on the side of the interstate. I mean, I would give up a $500 rim than do that myself. So sometimes it's best just let professionals take care of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, especially at night, bad things can happen in broad daylight. I've seen it, but at nighttime, in the rain, you can replace that thing. You can't replace yourself or a loved one if they get hurt. So definitely be careful with that. And along those lines, I just wanted to say we did just post a video here on the channel about the jacking points under the Beyond. I did that with Nick Recchio of Coachmen Class B. We were at the factory, and because when we had that blowout, people had questions about how do you put a full-size jack on there, where are the jacking points. So there's a video up on that on the channel if you guys want to see it. You have to carry a full-size jack with you in order to do that, and you might want to carry some other things if you're going to do it as well. You might want to carry some boards, the right kind of thing to get those lugs off. There's a whole bunch of things involved in that. So if not, AAA, really good thing. Lola and I have AAA, and if you want them to work on an RV, you better have the RV AAA, because when they see that even though these are vans, they're still RVs. So you better have RV AAA. Otherwise, they won't service you. Just a tip. I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, it's a lot better to let somebody else take that risk too by
Yeah.
having somebody change your tire, especially a tire.
Yeah,
So
the RV AAA is worth it. I don't make any money from telling anyone this, but the RV AAA is worth the extra money because they'll tow your RV, and Lola knows the details better than me, but they'll tow that RV a few hundred miles if they have to. So
yeah,
yeah, could be worth it. I hopefully we covered that. Jay Diamond says Bass Pro Shop even has dump stations. Yeah, Bass Pro Shops. Good place to stop into if you need things. I like Buc-ee's. You can always stop in there, get gas, get food.
Bucky.
Yeah, use a clean bathroom. I don't. Do you know what Buc-ee's policy is about staying overnight there? I don't think there's an official policy, so far as I know.
Well, there is an official policy. Bucky's does not allow RVs to park overnight,
Okay.
but there's a but though. I've been to a couple of Bucky's, and I just asked them if they would let people spend the night there. And I've been told at a couple of Bucky locations that if you are tired and you want to spend the night there, as long as you are gone, I think the guy said like by 6 or 7 in the morning, and you park out in the field, like out, not up close, but kind of away from the store, that I found a couple that will let you stay there, but their official policy is no overnight parking. But they will bend that rule sometimes, I've discovered.
Yeah, once again, you want to be respectful, ask,
Yes, ask.
Yeah.
Because you don't like getting that knock on the door at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I've had that knock on the door at a place where I should not have had that knock on the door, and I had it twice. But it's just kind of weird. But if you're at a Bucky, I'll tell you about that. That's a funny story. But if you go to a Bucky's, they usually have a good price on fuel, and they have very clean restrooms. I mean, their restrooms are amazing. And anything you can imagine drink-wise they have. So you can get some nice food, some drink, barbecue, jerky. We love going to Bucky's. They're very good.
Yeah, Buc-ee's keeps me fat, man. When I'm on the road, Buc-ee's keeps me fat.
Yeah. The knock on the door story, there's a rest area on I-10. It's about a mile east inside of Mississippi from Louisiana. It's near Stennis Space Center. It's on the south side of I-10. And they have a really nice rest area there with room for RVs and stuff. And we went there one day, and I parked where the RVs are supposed to park, and there was a lot of trucks where the trucks park. And I guess about 2 o'clock in the morning or so, guy knocked on my door, and he wanted me to move so they could put an 18-wheeler where I was parked. So I thought that was kind of weird. But I was in the RV section, and then about a month or 2 months later, we were passing through there, and we stopped at the same place. And I said, okay, I'll just do this right. I'll park over where the guy told me to park originally. So I parked over there, and I got a guy knocking on my door. Says, you're facing the wrong direction in the parking lot. I thought, well, I said, I know. He said, well, you got to be careful. You don't go out on the interstate in the wrong direction. I said, I'm not that stupid, man. I'm just parked over here because it's where you want me to park.
Right.
But there's always places you can find a place to park. But the guy was also mentioning about the Bass Pro Shops. Usually the Cabela's had a dump station, and all they really asked for is that when you go to the Cabela's to spend some money there, and they'll give you a code, because usually their dump stations are locked, and they'll give you like a little digital code you can put in to open the cap up. So, but not all Cabela's let you stay there. Some of them don't allow it. It just depends on the individual location. Yeah. But we actually stayed at a Cabela's a long time ago in Kearney, Nebraska. I think it was like the original Cabela's. It was a very old one anyway. And that was a nice quiet place. But yeah, Cabela's are really good too. And you go in there and you can buy some stuff. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And while we're all, and by the way, everyone feel free to share tips out there. One of the places that you can often stay with an RV is in around casinos. So especially Vegas, for example, you could do it, but you do want to check
Yeah.
with those
Yeah.
casinos, and they have a lot of security. They're not gonna miss anything. Just be aware of
Yeah,
that.
casinos are great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love going to casinos. There's one in Atmore, Alabama, and they have a paid campground, but they also have like a free camping area where like, there's spots that are set aside for RVs. But the beauty of going to a casino is that if there are small independent casinos, you can go in and ask them if they have any bonuses for like new members, and you can join up, and they'll give you sometimes $5-10 free play. And many times we've turned that free play into money. We went to one casino, they gave me I think it was $20 free play, and they had a free dump station. They let us spend the night. We ate. We had a nice senior meal at their buffet for like $6 a person, and I turned that free play into $100 when I left.
Oh wow, you made out.
Yeah. So,
I bet you when you got that $100, you're like, I'm gonna take this and run.
yeah. When you're on a slot machine and it pays out, you go, oh, pocket that money.
Get out.
So,
yeah.
but we love going to casinos, especially the smaller casinos, because they're the big ones, like the Harrah's and all that. They don't have the free play because they're all linked. But always ask to see if you can spend the night there. Sometimes they want you to register with the security, so they'll know. There's on the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. There's a casino in Christmas, and they actually have free hookups. So they're usually taken, but there's free hookups at that casino. So you'll find that some places they actually do have hookups and stuff for free. Sometimes they have paid campgrounds. Route 66 Casino. We like to stay there in Albuquerque, I guess it is. I think it's Albuquerque. And they have a big campground. There's a beautiful campground, but we'll park out front and free. But we just, ask them if it's okay first. Always ask.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of places with dump stations, especially on the West Coast. I've noticed that there are bigger gas stations or busier gas stations that know they're dealing with a lot of RVs that do have dump stations. And Lola and I have done that from time to time. Some of those gas stations have been sketchy, but you do just make sure you're paying attention to what's going on around you when you're doing all of that kind of stuff. And when it comes to if you're really tired, I would say this: if you're really, really tired, it's better for you to get off the road than to cause an accident and hurt yourself or hurt other people. So it's better for you to get off that road, even if what you're doing is a little bit questionable, and someone winds up knocking on the door. That's fine. Get off that road. Don't drive in that state, because you're taking your life and other people that you don't know that have families. You're taking their lives in your hands. So don't do it.
Yeah, and each state has different rules, like at their rest areas. For example, Texas, if it's a rest area on the side, they would rather you spend the night there and sleep than be driving on their roads tired. So it's always good you just get on the internet and check the rules. Sometimes they say no camping, but camping is not the same as parking overnight. Camping is putting out chairs and a grill and making yourself at home.
Yeah, moving in.
Yeah, but if you're just pull over and sometimes they have rules you can stay 4 hours or 6 hours, but it's always worth just taking a look, get on the internet and see what the rules are for the state you're in at rest areas. Yeah. Because we spend a lot of nights in rest areas, especially Texas. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah, there's some really good rest areas. I've come across rest areas that have everything. They have dumping. They've got everything. Dumping. I've seen rest areas with gas stations. Obviously, all that you can do a lot of good things there. Vanessa Kitty says, I use the Firestone places if I can find them when traveling, which is also good. And I think it was it Rodell that told me, Typhoon Adobo, he said to me, he'll buy his tires from, let's say, Firestone, a chain that's across the country, and then that way when you have problems with the tires, you can go to those places around the country and they'll fix your tires because it's part of the plan when you bought tires. So they'll fix them, replace them, all that. So that that's an idea, the way you can save some money. And then Vanessa Kitty also says, which I think we're going to talk about here, but this is a good way to segue into it a little bit before we run out of time. Military auto hobby, if you are military retired, helps. I'm not sure what Auto Hobby is, but there are places as retired military that you can camp as well. But Gardner, you're a veteran, so you can speak on this a little bit, right?
Yeah, we stay at a lot of military campgrounds. Typically, they're a little bit they're cheaper on the rate. But for us, the best thing is they're usually on a base, so you're more secure, but they have access to a commissary, exchange, barbershop, so I can get my hair cut, different things like that.
Yeah.
And sometimes they do have an auto shop where you can actually work on your cars. I've never used one of those. Back when I was active duty, I did, but as a retired, I've never used their shops. But they do have places on some of the bases where they have lifts and tools that you can use and stuff like that. And so that is handy. But we like military bases. They're pretty nice.
It's a great way to stay if you're in the military or veteran. There's lots of folks in the military that do that. There's some really cool places, and I'm pretty sure you've done several videos on this on your channel, because I saw the one where you were staying close to NASA, I think.
Yes, that was they call it CARS, KARS. And it's actually a campground park area for NASA employees, I believe, but it's open to military. And we actually spent a night there because there was supposed to be a SpaceX launch, but it didn't happen. I said, "I see another night." And they said, "Okay." And it didn't happen. And I got another night, and I think on the fourth night that we finally saw the rocket take
We're
off.
coming right back. Lola and I are now official brand ambassadors for Coachmen Class B. So I wanted to take a moment to tell you guys why we, as VanNoisSeurs, like it says on our t-shirt, are very excited about our partnership with Coachmen Class B.
First off, Coachmen RVs has been a leader to the great outdoors since 1964.
So next is the fact that Coachmen really cares about you as an owner, whether you bought new or used. After you buy your van, they really take care of you.
With Coachmen Class B, you have all the options. Coachmen builds on all 3 van platforms. On the Mercedes Sprinter is the Coachmen Galleria. The Ford Transit is the Coachmen Beyond. And Ram ProMaster is the Coachmen Nova.
Lastly, best value for money. We've had our van for 2 years, and Coachmen builds to the highest standards of quality and craftsmanship. You can't go wrong with a Coachmen Class B. So if you're interested, check out the link in our description and find the Coachmen van that's best for you. All right, so we're back. Time is moving so fast. And if anyone has any other questions, we'll definitely get to it here. I did want to say something. Just looking at that video there, the ad that we just ran for Coachmen, we're brand ambassadors officially for them. Some of that footage came from Nick Recchio showing, like us talking about how you change that tire and all that. And one of the things that reminded me of, if you buy, even if you don't buy a Coachmen van, whoever you bought the van from, if you run into trouble mechanically while you're out there traveling, you can actually contact them and they should try to help you out. I know Coachmen for sure does that. So if you run into a problem, you can contact them and you'll say, "Hey, I'm in I don't know, you're in Arizona," and they'll try to find a place in Arizona or the place you bought the van from. So in the case of Sunshine State RV or any other dealer that's out there, get in touch with them. They might help you actually sort out your issues that you have, even though you're not where they are. I don't know if you wanted to talk about that, Gardner.
That is one advantage that we've really enjoyed with the Coachmen is the fact that we did have a couple little small issues, and being able to call and actually talk to somebody about the problem is really a very helpful thing. But luckily for us, we really haven't had many issues with our Beyond. I mean, my road trek had a lot of issues. My Pleasureway had issues, but the Coachmen's been great. In fact, when I traded in my Pleasureway, I traded in with the bed broke because the couch it only laid down like halfway, so it was stuck, and that's how I traded it in. But they fixed it. But I was just sick of it. But the Coachmen's been wonderful for us. And
that's interesting. I think Pleasureway, out of all the manufacturers in the Class B world, have a very good reputation. But anything will break. Anything will break out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but and when you run into this issue, I think especially because look, there's guys out there. I see. By the way, shout out to our friend Russ Johnson. There's dudes out there who will fix. Dude, Russ is one of these dudes. There's dudes who will fix their own problems, and I respect that. I respect that the most. I'm striving in my life to be that guy who's self-sufficient and self-reliant, that you could fix everything. But some people think, I can't do this because I don't have that mechanical ability, that handy ability to fix things. There are people out here who will help you when you run into that stuff. So,
yeah. Yes, and typically it's a Ford. So for us, or if you have a Dodge, a Ram, there are many places that work on those things. Maybe the Sprinter's a little bit more difficult, but typically if you drive a Ford or a Ram, there's a lot of people out there that can work on them.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of dealerships. Look, even for the Mercedes, there's dealerships. You're gonna need to do a little bit more legwork with the Sprinters to find someone to take care of you. There are specific Sprinter dealers that just deal with the vans, and you might get lucky. But once again, regardless of what you like, just buy what you like. I'm not trying to push everyone to buy a Ford. The Ford is the best. It is the best out there. Sorry to tell you that. But with Mercedes, if you run into issues, just try to use the resources that you have. Dealership you bought it from, the place that built it, they should be able to help you. Lola says, is there a good app for overnight parking and dump locations? What do you find is the best app for that?
It's kind of funny because I've never really had much luck on dumps, but if you just go to Google Maps and you type RV dump, sometimes it'll work out. But I've had the best luck finding dump stations with Google Maps.
Yeah,
but
RV Parky has that too, but it's not always accurate necessarily.
Yeah. And kind of a trick I learned, if you really need to dump and you haven't been able to find a free dump anywhere, and lots of times places like the city might have a sewage treatment plant you can dump at. We've done that before. But if you really get desperate and you need a place to dump, call a local campground and ask them if you can just dump at their dump station. And we've done that before and paid like $5. They'll charge you. I've had some that say, "Oh, just go ahead and dump for free," but usually it's $5.
$5 or $10. Yeah.
And if they can't help you, you just call another campground. And typically, if we're really in a spot where we just have to do to dump the tanks, we'll do that. But I've had pretty good luck at just finding campgrounds to do it at. So and they're set up for it.
Excellent point. Lola and I have done that very often. If you look it up, most of them have that listed on their website, or like you said, you can call them up because they're making a little bit of extra money, or you come in there and you go, "Oh, this is a really nice place. Maybe we'll stay here next time when we're going through." So it's good advertising.
Yeah, sure. But that's a simple way of doing it.
Yeah. Or if you know friends in the area, I always if I'm going through an area now, I think, who do I know over here? And not necessarily that you could go dump at your friend's place. Some places you can. But they might also know that information. I ran into that one time, and a friend of mine was like, "Oh, there's a place here. It's one of the biggest places that sells RVs and RV parts and stuff. And you can actually go there and dump." So I think Camping World has something like that. But this place, I can't remember the name of it now. Maybe Lola will remember if she's here. And we actually, when we go through that area now, we always go to that place. And they sell, you can just go, it's like a Costco for RV parts, but I just can't remember. I can't remember the name of it. Go ahead.
But as far as Camping World goes, a lot of people hate Camping World. A lot of people love Camping World. I personally, I enjoy going to Camping Worlds. But if you're a good SAM member, and you pay like, I don't know, $20 a year or something. I can't remember what it is. But a lot of the Camping Worlds have a dump station. If you say, "I'm a good SAM member, can I use your dump station?" a lot of times they say, okay, it's part of their perks that you have. Sometimes they'll say the dump station's broke or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have one huge rule about dump stations and getting water.
Okay.
And I used to, in the old days, I would say, well, I'll go to a dump station and I'll dump and then I'll fill up with water at one place. But my rule is, if I have to dump, if I can't get fresh water, I will dump anyway. If they say, well, we don't have fresh water, just go ahead and dump. And if you need fresh water, but you don't need to dump, and you see a place where you can get fresh water, fill your tank up, because a lot of times you can't do it together. You can get fresh water or you can dump, but you can't do them both at the same place. So,
and you might not get that opportunity to dump again for a while, and if you skip on it, then
or you might not go get fresh water for a while too.
Yeah.
So, and that's my rule, and I broke it one time, and I regretted it because I had no fresh water for a while until we found a place. But it's always out there.
Yeah, it seems difficult. It's not really difficult. I think the biggest reason we're talking about this, like before I started doing this, that I panicked over that. And I think sometimes I still do. I'm like, oh, how am I going to do this? There are ways, and you can do it, and you're not always keep this in mind. You're not the first person. You won't be the last. Mm-hmm.
We were needing water one time. We were out, God, I don't know what state it was. I'm bad about remembering places, but we were driving past and there was a Honda car dealership, and I noticed the guy was out there with the hose, and I said, hey, let's go ask him, see if we get some water from him. So we drove up to their service bay, and Deb says, hey, we own a Honda, can we get some free water from you? So we filled our water tank at a Honda dealership.
If you have a wife or you are a woman, that's some people some folks out there are nicer to the ladies than they are to the dudes. I've noticed that. If Lola asks a thing, usually people are like, oh, we'll help you out.
Yeah.
So that's a benefit. It's a benefit. If you're out there as a dude by yourself, it might not be so much, but still, if you're nice and you're pleasant and all that kind of stuff, most human beings want to help you. So just ask. Russ Johnson says, Hank, have you ever pulled out your tire changing tools? So my answer to that is yes. There's a video out there. If folks don't know how to do this, I have a video. It's the video I did with Nick Recchio, where we showed you where are those tools in the Ford Transit. It's right under the passenger seat for most of them, and there's a special way it goes back in. We showed that. Gardner, have you ever done it?
No, I usually carry a spanner wrench with me, and a torque wrench and stuff like that, and an air compressor. I've never used the Ford tools, but it's good to always to make sure that you have a wrench that fits your lug nuts too, because sometimes they don't work. So if you haven't done it yet, you might want to check. But I carry a 4-lug wrench, so I have one that works. But I've heard some people say that their aftermarket lug nuts don't work in the Ford wrench, so it's something to check.
That is something that is very true. You do need to check on that, especially if you change your wheels themselves and you don't reuse those lug nuts, and you have something, or there might be a lock or something like that on them, and you're going to need to have that lock. So let's get a comment in here. Jay Diamond says, when we lived in Alaska, we always dumped at our local RV dealer. So there you go. That's I think that's probably like a top tip there, right? Look up RV dealers. And
a lot of them do that.
Yeah, a lot of them will let you do it there. Now, some of them say, oh, if you didn't buy it here or whatever, but it's worth a shot, because if you're trying to sell something, if you're an RV dealership out there and you're going to say no to the people who didn't buy at your RV dealership, then they probably will never buy. But if you're nice to them, they may go, oh, okay, yeah, no problem. So look into that one, see what happens. Let's see. Let's get a comment from Ramon Toro. Says, hello, everyone from Puerto Rico. Just entering to see what's happening. Thanks for coming in here. Smash the thumbs ups while you're coming in here. We always appreciate that. And if you guys are finding this stuff from Gardiner Camping Coastie useful, he's got a lot of useful tips and ideas and even places that you guys can travel on his YouTube channel, Camping Coastie, and I encourage you to go check it out and subscribe to him over there. Dan Archer says, ever have a security problem when on the road? So that's a little broad, security problems. I'm assuming that covers like danger or, feeling like someone might be trying to either, do something to you or whatever. I think it probably encompasses all of that.
Yeah.
What do you say to that, Gardner? Security issues on the road?
I've never felt threatened at all on the road. I'm a big guy. I got Spike. People that know Spike. He's a 26-pound dog, but he's very vocal and very.
He makes a lot of noise. Yeah.
Yeah, and he looks very ferocious.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I've never really been threatened. But my main thing is that I did law enforcement for 13 years, and if I recognize a place as not being a safe-looking place, if I get the old hair on your neck thing, where if you think this is not a good place to be, then don't go there. I usually avoid big cities. I don't like to go into big cities and park just for safety reasons. But out west or in small towns, most places, I've never really felt threatened. But it's really, if you feel comfortable, you're good. If you feel that little weird thing is like, oh, I don't like this area, don't stay there. It's simple, and that's the beauty of a Class B is you can just drive off. You don't even have to go out. Like if I'm in my camper, I have to go outside. It might be pouring rain or whatever, but in the van, you just get up and you walk to the front, you sit down, and you drive, and you're gone. And it's simple. So
yeah,
it's never been an issue. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think my answer to that question would be very similar to Gardner. I've put 55,000 miles on this van traveling around the country, and I've never been in a situation where I was worried about my safety and security. I think for the most part, folks out there are, there's a lot of good people in America. There's some bad people. I think, as Gardner said, you do want to mitigate your risk. And I think that's the number one part of security. You, don't want to look like a victim, or you don't want to act like one either. So if you're aware of what's going on around you, that'll help keep you safe. You mentioned it, I think, before we started, that it's always good to be, you might have said it while we're doing this too, it's always good to be where other RVs are, right?
Yeah.
So,
The safety in numbers.
Yeah, safety in numbers. So that's one thing that I would point out to people. But you should always be aware. Typically in life, some people might know this if they look at me and doing other things on YouTube. I'm a Second Amendment advocate. I was never in law enforcement or the military like Gardner, but I think from just being in the Second Amendment community, being a gun guy that I am, you realize when you're training and doing all these different things, you need to be aware. And typically folks out there who want to hurt other people, they are opportunistic. They're looking for the people who are not aware. They're looking for an easy victim versus someone who's aware, conscious of what's going on. So in all of this, there's safety in numbers. You don't want to stay someplace that you don't feel safe or doesn't, like if there's no lights out there and you're in the middle of nowhere, and someone who really wants to do something bad and you're there, they go, well, these people are an easy target. And that's typically the way of avoiding trouble. Don't get into it in the first place, I think.
Yeah, just avoid, like I said, if it feels weird, leave. And that solves a lot of problems. But if you pull into a parking lot at a Walmart or something, you see a bunch of people just hanging around, just drinking and stuff, just leave, and you'll be a lot happier.
Yeah, go down the road. At some point here, I don't know if this is, I don't know if Dan was alluding to this or not, but at some point down the road, I think I'll do a video or we'll do a podcast about security when it comes to firearms and stuff like that. We'll cover that. But I'm not a lawyer, and when I do that, I definitely would like to have some lawyers involved in that conversation.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. Let me see. My camera is, there we go. It's yeah, I would like to have some lawyers, because as you're traveling around the country, rules and stuff like that when it comes to self-defense are very different, and you do want to be aware of what's going on as you travel around the country.
Yeah, there's federal laws, there's state laws, then you get local laws, and what might be legal in the state might be illegal in that county or in that city, So when it comes to self-defense, I hate to say it, but the best self-defense is to leave. I mean, that's, if you can. If you can get out of
you're 100% right. Yes.
Yeah. And,
you're 100% right, Gardner. Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with retreating. It's, I would rather retreat than have to go to court. That's just me.
Yeah. No, that makes 100% sense. Like I said, I will have someone come on and talk a little bit more about this. Like, every place has different rules, and I think typically you have to realize in an RV that it is considered your home. So if you really, yes, sometimes some places don't consider it that. All of that kind of stuff. Ultimately, stay out of trouble. If you get into trouble, do the best that you can do to survive.
Yeah.
That would be my advice to people.
I forget where it is, but there's one state that an RV is considered your residence if you're plugged in to a power pole. If you're not plugged in, then it's just a vehicle. So
yeah.
It's just every state, every county, they all have different rules and laws. But
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the best thing you said is, if you don't feel comfortable, if you wake up in the middle of the night and you're not even aware of why you woke up in the middle of the night, but you feel weird, get out of there. Ask Lola. When I have the heebie-jeebies, I get moving. She's always like, "What are you doing?" I'm out of here. If I had like a nightmare, or sometimes your brain is telling you things that you don't know why it's telling you stuff. Right? So but you should still act,
Yes.
Yeah.
Just sometimes your best thing to listen to is that little secret voice in your head. So, just admit it that it's there and listen to it sometimes.
Yeah. And better to have your wife think you're crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, listen, we're coming up on a break here, and actually I think what we're going to do is cuz we've gone past the hour here. So what we're gonna do is probably take some time to wrap this up. Let's do that. It's been fun. An hour went fast. So
yeah.
If no one has any other questions, and if you do have a question, you can hit us up here and we'll do it. What I usually do because this has been fun, man. Whenever Gardner and I talk, we could do this for probably like 5-6 hours.
Easy.
Yeah, very, very, very easy. So what I do want to do, Gardner, is give you a chance to let all the folks out there know if they want to communicate with you somehow, follow you, support you, etc. How do they do that?
Well, my YouTube channel is Camping Coastie, and I have a dog down here, son's dog. I also have my Instagram channel is camping_Coastie, so you can always check out that. But just send me a message. I try to reply to every message on YouTube. So if you got any questions, the easiest way to do is just leave a message on one of my videos, and I'll get back to you. And I offer to help anybody. If you got any problems or any questions, if it's something I can help you with, I'm glad to help you. So just leave me a note.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot. I appreciate you coming on and taking the time, as well as Deb, and of course Spike for being security. during the show. We appreciate him. Jay Diamond says, great show, gentlemen. Thank you very much. You guys are welcome. I know we haven't put up a show here in a while. I apologize for that. You know, it's kind of tough getting everyone's schedule, like getting schedules to line up and all that. So I think Lola does have a few of these planned. We're also going to be getting on the road here and going out and seeing a few things. But we're gonna keep this going. This actually is a lot of fun to do. Very informative. If you guys have questions, leave them here. If you've got specific things for Gardiner, I'm sure he'll check in and get to those. So thanks very much. If you want to support us, you can get the VanNoisSeur shirts right here in the channel. Right under there, you'll see t-shirts, all that kind of good stuff. You can go down there and get those shirts. We've got new stuff. You can support us there. That being said, thanks very much. Gardiner, you stay right there. I'm going to end everything. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Yeah. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.